I think I'm jinxed. When I went to New Orleans the following year, Hurricane Jose almost hit it, and it didn't, but it was followed by Hurricane Katrina, which did the damage you guys know about. When I did the Ironman in Santa Rosa, it was a beautiful, incredibly scenic landscape through wine country. I rode a bike 112 miles through that. And the following year, wildfires destroyed most of it. Last time I went to Hawaii, the international marketplace, which is gone now, flooded, and they had two cyclone tornadoes, which people said they never had before. So somehow it seems like after I visit somewhere, tragedy happens. This weed shirt from Weed, California, they just had wildfires too, like a week before the shirt was purchased. So um, it's kind of crazy. At the same time, I used to have this job, and if I didn't have a ride and I had to ride my bike, which was quite often, most of the time, it would stop raining. And I would ride my bike and I'd get to work and it would start raining while I was at work. And then at 11 o'clock at night when I was going to get off, it would stop raining. Sometimes if my neighbor was there working, I would throw the car in the back of the truck and he'd give me a ride home. But if not, it would stop raining. There were still big dogs that knew to wait for me and they would chase me. I tried to build up speed as I went past their spots. But yeah, that's kind of weird. I was just thinking about that. Anyways, I hope you're all good and in high spirits. Today, I have a story for you that I don't think you've heard before, and I'm not sure everyone can understand. I think the title of this will be Even as I Bear My Soul, You Can't See Me. And it's a little bit of a criticism of what I see generally in society, and applying to most people. So I ask that you listen to the story with an open mind. It's going to be interesting. I mean, it's going to be something you ain't never heard before. And I don't think I know anyone else that has done this. So here we go. When I was young, I was getting a lot of stuff taught to me, instilled to me. There's a song, Led Zeppelin, I believe. In the days of my youth, I was taught what it means to be a man. And now I reached that age, I try to do all those things the best I can. And so, if you listen, you do hear people always trying to tell you how you should behave as a man, how you should behave as a Mexican, how you should behave as a black man, how you should behave as an Asian, a white man, how you should behave as a professional. There's all these rules that everybody's trying to put on you. This is how you should dress. Don't dress like that. Don't listen to that music. Don't be this. Don't be that. And at the end of the day, they're not going to live your decisions. One day you will be on your deathbed and you will think, did I live my life for others' approval? And what did that get me? Did living how they wanted me to live result in consequences that they didn't help fix? Probably not. And so when I was young, again, people were, you can't cry. You got to be this way. You got to be that way. And then, I got in trouble as a kid. And I went through the juvenile system, and there was more of that. This is how you be. Even the rules were even more. You can't do this. You can't do that. I wouldn't say the word for me institutionalized, but some folks have used that word and use it to describe doing things that they were taught to do and their ways to be. And I'm not saying that everything being taught and ways to be are bad. Um, I've told my kids, if you watch these shows, the level of respect that people demand from each other in these extreme settings um, would be useful to give to anybody. Not because you're afraid of them, but because, it makes sense. Don't fart next to someone and have them have to smell your shit. That's not cool. It doesn't matter if it's a vicious dude that'll fuck you up for it. It could be a homeless person. Don't do that to them. And so there are things that I think are helpful, but there's also a lot of posturing, a lot of living up to an image of what society thinks you should be because you adopted a label. Now, almost from the beginning, when I stepped into YouTube, and I've shared this story, it was through the incredible Javier show. I called into the day room and I was asked, "Hey, do you got your boots on? And you ready to join the day room?" And my response was, "Nah, man, I'm free. I'm in flip flops and underwear." And then later on, I became more familiar, and I've had discussions, on air with Javier about labels and how, me personally, I shun them. If I have to give one, I usually say I'm Mexican, even though I've been here almost the entirety of my life. I've not identified as a Chicano because I wasn't born here. So, in the literal sense of the word, um, I I've not identified like that. And even as far as life experiences, although I shared a lot of them with folks who identified as Chicano and met the literal definition, I also know that their experiences and mine were those of low income, marginalized brown kids and not other kids that identified as Chicanos who became part of the political class. Their parents marched, and a lot of those people that marched in the beginning went on to become city council members and supervisors and um, attorney generals and heads of agencies. It didn't end there for them. A lot of them became part of the political class, and their kids went to schools and had a different experience, and their experience is as Chicanos as anyone else's. But again, that's kind of irrelevant because I've always shunned labels. I've always said they were divisive. It doesn't matter what it is, because once you take that label, it automatically creates a division between you and someone else, even if you say we're trying to come together. I think my belief is we come together as brothers and sisters as God saw us. And people have their different interpretations. Mine is that, it's a loving God, and it wouldn't be cool for just people to be born marginalized with no hope for ever becoming more than a second class citizen. And I think that's part of why, Jesus died, so that everybody could be equal. So anyways, I had all this indoctrination, all this schooling on how to be, how to carry myself, and somehow, anyway, despite all that, I found myself depressed. And it was a particularly hard depression. And I was just tired of feeling that way. And so my belief is that depression is anger turns inward. And so somehow I felt like I needed to kill myself off as who I was up until that point. And and so how I did that is where the story gets really interesting. 10 minutes in, huh? Fuck. My girl says, "Man, you drag us. You take forever to get to the point." But how I did it was I signed up to run the Beta Breakers, which is a 7K race through San Francisco. And I signed up. Well, I just signed up to do it, but I told folks, you know what? I'm gonna do that shit naked because all the indoctrination I received, all the people that were telling me how to live my life, a lot of them weren't happy. A lot of them weren't really role models that I wanted to follow. And doing something like that is incomprehensible to them because they have to live up to an image. They can't come out to the living room without their boots on as free people. I'm not speaking about anyone or anything that is not out here in free society. Um, and so, in the comfort of my home, um, I should be able to go around in flip flops. And so, what I see is just this extreme attempt to make everybody conform to an individual's worldview of how they should live their life, of who they should be. And I was going to break with that because I was here depressed. It hadn't done nothing for me to try to be like other, how other people thought I should be. And that said, that's not to say that people can't provide good guidance and life skill information that helps you be a better person. I think that you should be free to do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting other people or taking advantage of them. And it's nobody's business what you do. So, my big fuck you to your beliefs about how I should live my life, who I should be, it don't apply to me no more. I broke from you guys and your lock on people's need to feel they matter, because it didn't make me feel like I mattered anyways. So I signed up and I said, I'm gonna do that shit naked. And because I said that, I felt like I had to do it. And so, I rent a room in San Francisco, and I rented it on the wrong, like a couple miles from the start point, which is near like downtown. And I'm over by the Presidio, I think. And so, I get there the day before, and I asked my family not to go because, I didn't want my kids seeing me do this. And so I get there. I eat a big plate of spaghetti in Little Italy. I walk to my room. I enjoy walking around the city. I don't got nowhere to be till the next day. It's just relaxing, eating in a restaurant, window shopping, looking around, just having some good me time. And then the next day, race day, I get up early and I call a cab, and it takes me about halfway there, and then I'm going to walk the rest of the way to kill time before the start. I have a headphone on, some shorts, a shirt, baseball cap, some shades, and some running shoes. And, I'm walking there, and to get to the start, I have to actually walk through the Tenderloin, which is one of San Francisco's and the nation's most notorious skid rows. It's a place, like Skid Row in LA. It's out there. And so this is Sunday morning, and I'm probably walking through there at 6 in the morning. It's still like kind of dark, and there's a police station So I go in there and I'm like, hey man, check it out. I'm on my way to go do the beta breakers. I told my folks at work I'm gonna do this shit naked, but if it's against the law, I'm not gonna do it naked, because I'm not trying to break the law to keep my word for something like this. You know, and they're like, yeah, don't do it. You'll get arrested. So I'm like, cool. I'm just gonna do this. You know, I don't have to keep my word because I did tell them unless it's against the law. And so I'm walking there, and I get to this area that's like the whole block is just one big wall because it's like a big building. And there's a dude like right in the middle of the street with a hoodie on and his hands behind his head like this. And there's a lady on her knees giving him a BJ, like right in the middle of the street. And I'm like, damn, that shit is crazy. And they look at me, like they stopped, look at me when I came around the corner, and then they went right back to it, right? And so I walked up a block and then went. And as I'm going up the other block, and there's no one on the streets for some reason. Like it wasn't full of tents. It was just a seedy area, but there was tents here and there, but it wasn't full of tents. Um, I don't know. This might have been like 12, 15 years ago, maybe less. And so the next thing I see is this little pickup comes around the corner uh, with hella tailpipe emissions. That shit was hella smoking. And these dudes get out, get on the back, and they dump over this plastic garbage can full of like noodles and Chinese rice and like broccoli. It looked like Chinese food from like the night before. They just threw everything in this garbage can, and then they pulled up to a street in the Tenderloin, dumped it off the side of the truck, like just onto the raw street. You know, no tarp or nothing, and they drove off. And you know, as I'm walking towards it, because it happened in front of me, I see like people come out of like the little nooks in the doors, because you know you'll walk into like a little nook and then the doors kind of recessed. You know, like you go to a house, the front door is aligned with the wall of the house. There, you know, they're recessed, so it's like the wall and then it goes in, and there's a little porch and you walk up and knock, right? And like people came out of those, and they had like spoons and forks. It was like 3 or 4 people, like some zombie shit. And they went and they just started eating the food like off the street. Um, it was pretty crazy. It was like some zombie shit. And so I kept walking. And then I felt like I saw a whole nother planet. Um, you know, you walk 2 miles and you go from these beautiful Victorian houses, probably worth a couple $1,000,000, to people eating off the street, like whole different worlds. It was crazy. Um, and so I keep walking, and I start hearing music, dun 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 dun, and you start seeing people in costumes. Now, the first time I did the beta breakers, I did it with my clothes on. My homeboy went, my girlfriend went, and 2 of her coworkers went. And it was funny because both of her coworkers were like these really old ladies, you know, white-haired little grandmas, right? And doing it the first time, I was like blown away because I saw people running or walking it, and they were butt naked. And you're like, oh shit! I only saw like one good-looking girl. She was hot. She had on a robe. But for the most part, the people doing it are not like the best-looking people, right? But there was like a bunch of them, and the first group I actually saw naked was like 10 people who I think, you know, they had Down syndrome, some type of mental challenges, and they were walking in a group. It was a trip. They were all like little pudgy folks. It was a trip. And then later on, we saw like teams of Marines Army, Navy, and Air Force. It was like teams of 6, and one guy had a keg like tied to his back, and the guys were running in a line, and they would pump the keg and drink it, and then go to the back of the line, and the next guy would go, and they were doing that to see, I guess, who could finish first and finish the keg. Most people were in costumes. There were centipedes. Music on every block. There was DJs outside DJing, people throwing tortillas, hosing down the street with water hoses. It's just a party, like 7 kilometers of fucking party, and people are smoking, drinking. That was the first time. Um, and like it was a good time. I saw a tiki bar because it's a costume contest as well as a race for like serious international racers. They can use their time there to qualify for other events. The other 99% of the people there are there to have fun. And so just, you see like a Gilligan's Island, the guys and the girls dressed like the guys and the girls from Gilligan's Island. And I saw a tiki bar where people were carrying the actual bar. There were people on stools being like carried, and on the other side there were bartenders like running and serving drinks. People go all out. It's a pretty amazing time. It's pretty fun. I think it's been like tamed down a little bit. And the last time I did it was, this story right here. So it's been a while, but I should probably go back and just check it out, walk it, or be on the sidelines to watch people go by and check out their costumes. It's a party. It's good times. And so anyways, I'm hearing the music and I'm starting to see people in costumes, and a Starbucks here and a Starbucks there, and a Walgreens, and you're starting to see regular folks, not dudes getting BJs and like zombies eating off the streets, right? Again, it changes really fast. And I'm hearing the announcer talking about, if you are in seed A, go to this block, seed B, go to this block. And races, some are self-seeding, and what that means is you put yourself according to where your ability is. Like me, I'm always a back of the pack. I'm slow. So the front of the pack, again, is international professional athletes. They're the fastest. If you put them in the back, everybody would slow them down. And so the goal is to put people according to their ability so that no one's holding anyone up and it stays moving, right? And so I go to the last group, and the first thing I see are some policemen standing next to a dude that's naked with a Richard Nixon mask, waving a flag. And they're not saying anything to him. So I'm like, fuck, man, I don't think this is against the law to do this, because, they're not even tripping. And then I see some good looking girls come up and they like slap the dude on his butt, and they keep going. And then I see another dude and his wife, and they look like Santa Claus and Miss Santa Claus, but as bikers, and a little bit grimy, but also naked. And then I see this lady who seems a little challenged again mentally, with a pretty big gut, that's naked, and I'm like, man, I'm trying to understand what I have in common with everybody there, because I'm doing the same thing as them. And out of every 10,000, 5,000 people there, only one of us will do that. And again, I saw it the first time I went. I saw it the second time I went. This was my third time, and this time I was going to do it naked. And at this point, I still got all my clothes on. They're just chilling naked, and I got my clothes on. And, I'm hearing the announcer, and I'm just trying to really understand what we have in common. And sorry about the gas blower. Those motherfuckers are annoying. I know people are making a living, but they pollute a lot, and I don't know, man. They're kind of loud, blow a lot of dust your way. Anyways, I digress. Um, fuck, man. Anyways, um, that motherfucking thing threw me off. I'm sorry. Um, hold on. All right, all right, all right. So I'm trying to figure out what we all have in common, and I'm not. I just figure, well, maybe they don't give a fuck either. You know, they already know it's a wrap for them or something. I don't know, man, but um, I do trip off that, and then I I hear the first bin get called, and that means that the race has started. And then I hear the second bin, the third bin, and I think I was in bin F because there's like, don't quote me on this, but I think like 100, up to 100,000 people do this, you know, and it starts near downtown by the water near the bay, and it goes to um, I think it goes to Golden Gate Park. Ocean Beach is where it ends. And so it's from the bay to the breakers, and it's called the Ocean Breakers. And they call D, and I'm in F. And so they go E. And then I'm starting to think, you know, no one I grew up with is going to understand this because their mind is so closed to how they have to be, to the image they have to live up to because everyone told them they have to be that way. Me doing this had nothing to do with sex, had nothing to do with being an exhibitionist, had nothing to do with trying to meet other people, um, you know, show off that I was kind of fit. None of that. It had to do with I'm tired of the world trying to tell me how to be. I'm not happy. I'm sad, and because I was depressed. And why the fuck am I trying to live up to all your guys' expectations when I feel like you guys have let me down? And that's why I did it, because I knew people wouldn't understand, and I couldn't go back from it. Yeah, I fucking ran naked through San Francisco. So what? If you don't like it, fuck it. Go live your life according to these rules that you think you have to live up to. I'm not hurting anybody. I'd rather be like this than some guy that creases his pants right, shines his shoes right, but fucking is an opportunist and takes advantage of others. You know what I mean? It's and or wears the right suit, says the right words, get elected to the right office, and takes advantage of others. Gets leading roles full of prestige and honor and awards, but takes advantage of others. You know, I'm not trying to fit society's bill. Um, and that's why I don't like labels. Don't put labels on me. I am Jose, and I do what I want to do, and I do it being conscious that I'm not hurting others for my own reasons. That's what's important to me, having integrity and and when I die knowing that I did what I wanted. And again, as long as it's not hurting others, because I don't do everything I want. I don't. I go places, and I'll be honest with you, you know, um, I get tempted. You know, folks tempt me, um, and at the end of the day, I know it would hurt my family, so I can't. Right? I don't. But that said, this wasn't hurting anybody except my connection to small-minded folks who wouldn't be able to understand, who would turn it into something childish and immature instead of what I saw as something very meaningful and significant as far as how I engaged with the world. And so before your bin gets called, they do count down. So they'll say D, 20 seconds, or D, 2 minutes, and then D, 1 minute, bin D, 30 seconds. And then they'll start counting from 20 backwards. And at one, everybody just runs, right? So when they get to mine, I look around and I go to a little corner and I take off my shirt. And like my back's to everybody. Because this is huge to me. Like, I'm scared. I'm scared of how people that I know are going to take this. When I tell them, because the point of doing it is to say, I don't care what you think. Your opinions don't matter to me. I don't care that you think I should wear pants like this or a shirt like that or call myself this or identify as that. I don't like labels. And so it counts down 10, 9, 8, 3, 2. And I fucking pull down my shorts, roll them up with my shirt. Again, I got my shades on, my hat, some headphones, some really good running shoes. And I just start running. And at first I didn't want no one near me. So I was kind of towards the outside. And I caught like flashes going off on the side of me. And I thought, oh, fuck, you're better off in the middle so that the cameras ain't capturing you. Because although I was saying goodbye, I didn't want this used against me later if, I don't know, man. Who knows? A small-minded government official thinking it's not a good reflection of moral character. You know, shit like that, you know, is also considered, just so you know, it's not just the streets. There is, you know, in the Air Force, if you had an affair as an officer, they would try you for the moral character. And so, not that I'm in the Air Force, I'm not trying to steal anyone's valor, but, you know, even government has codes of morality that can be used against you. And I'm not running for office, but if someone was, that would be used against them politically. And I knew this, and this was part of me saying, I don't want no part of your world. That's, you live according and afraid of what everyone else is thinking and how that affects you. And I'll live my life how what I'm thinking about me affects me. And so I'm running. And then I make my way to the middle. And this is probably the fastest I've ever run in my life. Like, I'm just floating. Woo, woo. Probably, I think, I was probably doing like 7-minute miles for the first 3. Because I was in okay shape. I would do the stairs every single day at work. From the bottom to the top 4 times, which is 100 floors. And then I would run around the Capitol once or twice. So I was in pretty good shape. And I'm flying and I'm like, I don't even see anybody around me. Like I shouldn't say this, but I've heard like sociopaths don't really see people. They just see figures. And that's kind of what it was like. I didn't really see anybody. And so I'm just running and flying. And what's really going through my mind is, how are people that know me gonna see this? Like, that's how much of a grip society had on me. And then, like, as I'm thinking that, I don't know why, I saw this dude like up the block, like maybe from a block away. Like, I saw him and I saw that he saw me for some reason, and he started making his way down. And this motherfucker like made everyone part, because he was, I guess it was like a sorority house or something. Not, yeah, I think it was a sorority house, because there was a lot of pretty girls with all these dudes too, right? That looked like a fraternity. You know, they look like college jock types, right? And so this motherfucker comes down and like he parts the crowd with his homeboys and the girls. And he goes to the front, and as I'm coming up, he's like going, "This is the motherfucking man right here. That's what's up," pointing to me. And as I run by, like, all the guys give me high fives, and the girls are patting me on the shoulder.
And that was kind of funny. And that's kind of the atmosphere there, right? And it wasn't like anything to do with sex. They were just like, yeah, this motherfucker, because I think fraternity type dudes are kinds that be streaking at like at events. And again, it's not about sex. It's about like, fuck all your rules. I'm gonna do what I want. It's not hurting nobody. And so I get past that, and I'm just running really, really fast. And at mile about 5, they have this like little booth you run through, and your picture gets snapped, and then people can look you up by your number, or your name. And this was it's probably at mile 4, and I did at that point go into the bushes. Like I got off the course real quick, not even in the bushes, just off to the side. Unrolled my shorts, underwear, put them right back on, my t-shirt, maybe not even my tank top, and then kept going. So I didn't do the whole course. I was kind of conscious of, you know, friends is one thing. Another thing is to, have some type of dealing with the government, and they see that as not a good moral character because they can do that shit. Um, Especially in civil affairs. So, anyways, it and then I finished it, and at that point, my feet kind of hurt. Walking back to the hotel to get my stuff, and then go home. Um, I was pretty beat. I was ready to call it. Um, and just get home. I got plantar fasciitis. I must have walked like 30 miles those 2 days. But it was a really, really interesting experience. I don't know anyone else that has done it, um, or is even like talked about doing it, thought about doing it. Um, Now, after I'd done it, I did think, or after I did it, I did think that I just saw the world differently. Like, people's opinions of me mattered just way less because I actually started seeing them as a prisoner of public opinion, a slave of public opinion. Um, and I think sometimes people, try to tell you they're not, and that's why they say the things they do. But even then, sometimes it is calculated to elicit a certain opinion. People can cultivate the rebel image, and they'll try to live up to that, or um, some other label that comes with a set of rules that they need to abide by if they want to be that. And again, I didn't hurt anybody with doing this. It was something between me and just letting society know, hey, I can't live for your opinions and how you think I should be. And there's so many songs to that effect of, from day one, people are being told, you can't do this, you can't hang out with those people, you can't talk to them, you can't walk that way, you can't talk that way. And so when you start life, I think, you're like this golden child. And I saw this on Finding Joe. If you get a chance, watch Finding Joe. It's a phenomenal, really deep documentary on the human journey that we all share. Doesn't matter your race, everybody shares these life experiences and this human journey. And so in there, they say that, when you start out, you're love. You got love for everybody. You don't see color. You kind of already know the answers. You're born with this innate understanding of the world. And as you get older, when people tell you don't do this, you can't talk that way, you can't wear those clothes, you can't comb your hair like that, you can't do this, you start building this um, this layer of those things that hides what you already knew, that hides that love you had when you were born, that natural love you had for others, that desire to live happy with everybody. Um, all those dictations from people to be like this, that to be like that, to you're this label, you're that label. Um, it builds a shield around you that hides the real golden you. And once you figure that out and you start chipping away at it, which is what me doing this Beta Breakers Naked was, it was chipping off a big ass fucking chunk of that layer I had put on myself because that's what society was telling me to be and how to act. Um, and again, I didn't shake all of it. I believe in being respectful to folks, and there's a lot of things um, that are applicable universally and good qualities. It's just the don't do this, don't do that. When doing those things doesn't hurt anybody. I don't wear skinny jeans, but if I did, that doesn't hurt anybody. So no one should tell me that I can't wear them. And doing the beta breakers, as mentioned, was breaking off a big chunk of that armor that I had put on myself for society. And as I chip away at it, I saw the gold that was under it. And my goal then became to keep chipping away at it to reveal that me that just was all understanding and all loving and um, a golden child of sorts, not to lead anybody or for personal glory, but to give the world the best me, the real me, before I'm gone, because I don't know that I'll have another chance. I do believe in God, but that's faith, and faith is believing in something you can't prove. So not having proved it, I'm just faithful, but there's no guarantee for me. Maybe my faith isn't strong enough to believe in a guarantee. And so what I want is when I'm gonna die to know, hey, I really gave you the real me. And to do that, I had to chip away all that armor to who I was before all the indoctrination, all the schooling, all the societal messaging to be who they wanted me to be and not who I wanted to be. So I hope you guys really appreciate this. I hope you understand. I don't think a lot of people will, um, but I could be underestimating folks, and maybe they do understand. They just don't think they're ready to shake their armor and reveal their golden person, who they really are. And I do hope they get there. It won't benefit me personally um, more than it would the world. In doing that, you give your gift to the whole world. It's not for me, it's for everybody who's around you, your family, your friends, anyone that comes in contact with you. So, that said, much love. I hope you guys have a good one. Sorry about the hiccup with the blower. I'm surprised how much it threw me off. But yeah, this was. I hope this was a good story, and um, I'll probably go back and do the beta breakers. But I think if I do, I might go with a group of people and we do it as a costume team, like a Star Trek team. And I don't watch Star Trek, but or a Gilligan's Island, or um, I bet there'll be some Jeffrey Dahmers out there. It's if you guys get a chance, check it out. I wasn't specific with dates. I scoured the internet, never found any pictures of me. But I don't need to make it easy on folks either. Um, so that said, again, I hope you guys have a good one. I am glad I was able to share this story with you, and I'll probably share a couple other stories of things that I undertook that might be considered adventures. I did try to hike one time to the top of Half Dome in Yosemite Park before you needed a permit. And, I stayed at the lodge there, and in the morning got dropped off at the base of the trail, which was supposed to be, I think, 9 hours back and forth, or maybe 12. And I knew there was bears there. I knew there was mountain lions there. Nobody was with me. I figured I would just be alert and just stay trucha. And, actually um, was arrogant to the point of stupidity, because I thought, well, I'll just run around the tree, and I'm a human. I can think faster than a bear. But it would have fucked me up if it would have come across me, or a mountain lion. So um, there's a lesson there. That was arrogant and stupid, and I didn't know what I was going into. So it was just good fortune that nothing bad happened. Um, and at the time, I did have like a pretty big gut, but I was doing the stairs every day, so no one passed me up. I was like hecka fast on it. And then when I got near the top, there was this rock like at a 45-degree angle. So it was maybe like this. It was probably 10 feet wide, which is pretty wide for a person. A little bit concave at the end, and then with like a 4,000 foot drop on both sides. And you would think 10 feet is a fucking lot of space to walk a straight line. But I thought, man, if I go up there, I'm not going to be able to make it back down, because it's going to be scarier coming down. And something that tripped me out there was, the higher I got, the less people of color I saw. And the white folks I saw up there, like, these motherfuckers would walk up to the side of a 4,000-foot cliff and look down and take pictures and jump from rocks to rocks. And I thought, man, everybody's, crazy and tough in their own ways, because I know a gang of pretty tough dudes that would never do anything like that, because it's not their element. And it wasn't my element. And so I was probably like 10 minutes from the cables. And then the cables is the last stretch to get to the top. And I chickened out. And there was this mom and her like daughter there. And the daughter, like, the mom walked, and then like where I stopped, the daughter had stopped with me. And she was crying because she was scared to do it too. And the mom was like, come on, I got you, I got you. And so the daughter went up, and she was crying, but she did it. And then the mom says, come on to me, I got you. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm scared. And then her daughter holds her hand and comes halfway down, and they're like, come on, we'll help you. And I was like, you know what, man, I won't be able to make it back down. And part of it is that I fly by the seat of my pants, and I'm not prepared. So I had some old running shoes on that didn't have any traction. And on previous rocks like that, I would feel like my footing slide on little pebbles, because you step on these little pebbles and your shoe slides on them if you don't have traction. And I saw myself falling and like just slowly rolling off the side and trying to cling like this, and the thing going, ee, like too many Wile E. Coyote cartoons, and then falling. And so that was kind of like a double embarrassment, because at this point, the little girl and her mom were like, come on, we'll help you, you got this. And I was like, I thought it was pretty cool that they were encouraging me, but I said, nah, I don't got this. And I did try to sign up for the lottery to go back and like do it again. But now you can't just go there and hike it. You have to actually win a lottery for a permit to go on a specified day, and then hope, there's not thunder or lightning on that day, because they'll close it. But well, I guess I already told that story, but I got a whole bunch of them of crazy adventures like that. So I'll think of some and share them. I hope you like this one. It's kind of long, but I thought it was a fun adventure. I'm glad I did it. Much love. Hope you guys have a good weekend.